I'm just happy to be back in action for the world to see, for the doubters to doubt, for the haters to hate. But Keith Thurman was, is, and will forever be great.
And force an eager young punter into that position. And there's a body.
Just make sure you get there, Keith. Just make sure you show up. All right, just keep yourself fresh. I don't want us to hear about any old man injuries like you have in the past.
Jarvis shoves him off, looks for his own shot, goes to the body and down. He does go.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning next week's fight in Sydney, Australia between the former world champion, Keith one-time Thurman, and Australian rising prospect, Brock Jarvis. Guys, before we continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, could you please do that? My YouTube analytics tell me that 85% of you people who watch the content haven't hit subscribe. So if you could do that for me, that'll really help me out. Also, could you like this video as well as hit the bell notification button? What that'll allow me to do is every time I put something out that's new, you'll be the first to be notified. Thank you. Guys, it's been over 3 years since we've seen Keith one-time Thurman. It almost feels like a whole generation. And we know how fickle and fleeting the boxing fandom is. What have you done for me lately? There's a whole slew of new boxing fans who don't even know Keith one-time Thurman, don't even know about his greatness, what he was when he was at his best, him being a world champion, how he is on the microphone, a Keith Thurman fight week. So for an old head like me, I'm excited about this fight. I live in Sydney, Australia, so I'll be going to this fight. It's good old-fashioned Aussie boxing on a Wednesday night. Also, I should mention, I don't want to jinx it, but we need to have our fingers crossed and hope that Keith Thurman gets to this fight uninjured. He's had a history as of late of getting injury, having to pull out, and just not being ready and fit for fight night. So a week away, let's hope that both guys, both Brock and Keith, go into this fight healthy and give the fans what they want to see, a spectacle. And you know you're always going to get that with Thurman. Brock Jarvis is a guy, if a lot of you Americans might not know this, he is who Liam Perro became. Let me explain that real quick. Brock Jarvis was an up-and-coming contender. He had all the hype around him in Australia because he was the protege of Jeff Fenech, one of the best boxers ever to come out of Australia. And Fenech took him under his wing since he was a little kid, had him in the public's eye, was basically molding him to become a world champion. If you look at Brock, he looks the part. Great looking kid, always fit, physically imposing, and he ticked all the boxes on this is Australia's next world champion. He was supposed to get this huge contract deal with Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn, and that fight that was supposed to put him into the next level on the international stage just happened to be against another young, hungry Liam Perro who felt like he was being overlooked. And sure enough, as soon as that fight started, Perro had a chip on his shoulder and knocked Brock Jarvis out. A lot has happened since then in both careers. We know Perro has become a world champion and recently has lost it. And we know that Brock Jarvis took some time off from the sport, separated from Fenech, reconnected with Fenech, and now he's gone from a 140-pound fighter to a 154-pound fighter. So the knock on him back in the day was like, is he cutting too much weight? Is he draining too much to get down to 40? And the media down here would write about that. That would be kind of a tiff between Fenech and Jarvis. Jarvis didn't want to cut as much weight. Fenech said, I'm a world champion, Hall of Famer, you should listen to me. Whatever that was, whatever the case may be, this fight with Keith Thurman goes down next week at 154 pounds. Now, this will be Keith Thurman's first fight at 154 pounds. This will be Keith Thurman's first fight in 3 years. So I really don't know what to expect from either fighter. This is not my prediction video. We'll do that early next week. For now, I want to break down both fighters, remind everybody about their resumes, talk a little bit about pros and cons of their style, and let's get into what to expect from this matchup. Former welterweight champion Keith Thurman will end a 3-year layoff with a March 12th junior middleweight fight against Australia's Brock Jarvis in Sydney. Thurman's last fight was a decision victory over Mario Barrios, currently the WBC welterweight champ, in February of 2022. Thurman, who's 30-1 with 22 knockouts, was slated to return last March versus Australia's Tim Tszyu in Las Vegas, but withdrew to a right biceps tear that required surgery. And I quote, "This is going to be one of the greatest comebacks in 2025, Thurman said. Time does not take away from the ability of champions," end quote. This will be Thurman's first fight outside North America. He fought once in Quebec City in 2019. The plan, sources told ESPN, is to build Thurman's profile in Australia and set him on a collision course for a rescheduled fight with Tim Tszyu, the son of Hall of Famer Costa. Tszyu, 24-2 with 17 knockouts, endured a nightmare campaign in 2024 with back-to-back losses. He lost his title via split decision in March to Sebastian Fundora, who had replaced Thurman on short notice. He was then upset by Bakram Murtazalov in October via brutal third-round stoppage. This would be Thurman's third fight in the past 6 years. He dropped a split decision to Manny Pacquiao in July 2019 for the only defeat of his career. Thurman had made 5 successful title defenses prior, most notably defeating Sean Porter and Danny Garcia in 2016 and 2017. Brock Jarvis, who's 22-1 with 20 knockouts, is a 27-year-old who will be an underdog against Thurman. In his lone fight on the world-class level, he suffered a first-round knockout loss to future champion Liam Paro at 140 pounds. Guys, make no mistake about it, we know the news was released a few weeks ago and just made official last week that Tim Tszyu will be fighting American Joey Spencer in Newcastle, which is only about an hour and a half north of Sydney, in the next few weeks. So this is all about setting the precedents. If everything goes the way of the powers that be, Thurman will walk through Brock and Tszyu will figure out Joey Spencer, and these two will meet down here in Australia. Will that happen? I don't know. Before we make any predictions, let's talk a little bit about the career of Brock Jarvis. Brock's 22-1 with 20 knockouts. He's currently ranked number 63 in the world at 154 pounds. He has a career knockout to win ratio of 91% with a total pro rounds of 64. The 27-year-old Australian's a 5'9" orthodox fighter with a 69-inch reach. We last saw him against Adrian Rodriguez, 13-10 knockout in the 4th. Marlon Peña-Mogan, 11-2 knockout in the 4th. Liam Paro, 22-0, he got knocked out in the 1st. Alejandro Rodriguez, 13-4 knockout in the 5th. Nort Beauchamp, 18-3 knockout in the 6th. Guys, if you've never seen Brock Jarvis fight, he's historically a very fast starter. This is a kid who wants to put it on you. He wants to pressure you. He wants to bully you, and he wants to get you out of there. 91% career knockout to win ratio is there for a reason. We know what his game plan is going to be. If I were him, I would be turning the gas on ASAP with the older Thurman. It's only fair to think that Thurman has lost a step, considering we haven't seen him in 3 years, and he's only fought a handful of times in 6 years. So game planning as Jarvis, turn the heat on him early, hurt him early, and remind him why he's taking time off, and kind of tell him right off the bat that he shouldn't be here. Now, let's take a closer look at Keith Thurman. Guys, one time is 30-1 with 22 knockouts. He's not ranked at 154 pounds. He has a career 172 professional rounds and a career 73% career knockout to win ratio. The American's an orthodox fighter standing at 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. We last saw him fight Mario Barrios, 26-1 UD in the 12th. Manny Pacquiao, 61-7, lost a split decision in the 12th. That was back in 2019, over 6 years ago. Josito Lopez, 36-7, majority decision in the 12th. Swift Garcia, 33-0, split decision in the 12th. Sean Porter, 26-1, UD in the 12th. So Keith has a Hall of Fame resume. If you remember, Keith, when he's at his best, is one of the best in the world. He has a tricky style, and everything I've seen from him Fight Week, they just did their media and press day yesterday at Bondi Boxing Club. Everything I saw from him hitting the pads, for what he was saying on TV, he did this little Aussie media press tour a month ago. He seems ready. He seems like a champion who's gotten older, who wants to remind people, wants to remind the naysayers and the younger generation how great he is. Brock Jarvis is going to give him that opportunity. Brock Jarvis is going to be there for him to find him. He's going to stand there in the pocket, and we're going to know right off the bat which version of Keith Thurman we're going to see. Las Vegas has Brock as a 4-1 underdog, meaning if you put $100 on Brock, you get 400 back. I'm going to be interested to see in the next week if those odds change, so stay tuned to the channel. Like I said when I started, I'm not going to give you my prediction. We'll do that next week. For now, I want you guys in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this fight, Thurman versus Brock. Tell me, does Brock have a chance to win? And more importantly, who do you see winning this fight? Also, one more thing before I let you go. You want to get brought up to date on the Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach controversy? Stay tuned to the channel right here, because it's coming up next.